If you have a YouTube, make sure you mute it.
Buenas tardes, chicos.
Hola.
All right, we are live. Querido Juanjo, hola, ¿cómo estás? Empiézanos, papi.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Estamos en directo en Entre Cafés, en uno de los últimos programas de esta temporada y lo vamos a dedicar a Hamilton. Serán dos programas especiales y para ello, una vez más, tenemos la colaboración de Revolución Latina con Luis Salgado, en este caso desde Puerto Rico. Muy buenas tardes, Luis. Buenos días.
Hola, buenos días, Juanjo, y buenas tardes para ti. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to make the quick translation into the English world that we're celebrating that Hamilton is coming to Disney Plus, and today we're celebrating with Broadway World Spain and Revolución Latina, so that we can share not only the experience of what Hamilton has represented to the world, but also the love, the joy, the dreams, and the family that lives within the people that have been part of Hamilton, that also are part of my life for many years ago. So, Juanjo.
Buenas tardes, de nuevo. Sí, Luis estaba presentando en inglés y aunque toda la conversación principalmente sea en inglés, voy a aprovechar para presentar a los invitados que nos acompañan esta tarde. Entre ellos están John Rúa, que fue parte del elenco original de Hamilton en Broadway, Gabriella Sorrentino, que fue swing del musical, understudying María Reynolds y Peggy Schuyler, y además dance captain del musical, Antuan Raimone, que es el Universal Swing. Me encantará que nos explique qué es, porque es una pieza fundamental. Y Rickey Tripp, miembro del ensemble, y George Iker desde 2016. Muy buenas tardes. Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Hi, hi, hi.
Just to make the introduction also in English, just quickly, we have John Rúa, who was part of the original cast, right? Gabriella Sorrentino, who's one of the swings of the show, the musical. Antuan Raimone is going to talk to us also about what universal swing is like, and the incredible Rickey Tripp, who, I mean, I can go into so many areas because my journey with him, it goes from the creation of In the Heights to the creation eventually of our lives in our present time and maybe even the future. So Juanjo, I will continue to go in English just so that I make sure that I can get them always involved. But if you need to say anything in Spanish, this is a bilingual, and this is the time for us to be bilingual and overly diverse in embracing everybody that can be welcome into understanding and rejoicing in the things that arts can contribute. So no apologies necessary por hablar español y speak in English.
Speak English y hablar español, un poquito de todo, porque tenemos público en ambos lenguajes. Así que, so I wanted to kick off the conversation, first of all, remembering the main reason that brought us here on this conversation, which is the streaming of Hamilton, the next July 3rd. And well, so many people is going to be watching your show. They're in for an amazing treat. So I'm very curious for you guys, what are you excited about the fact that an entire group of people, some of whom maybe never even heard the cast album, are going to get to experience this for the first time? So first, John, if you want to start.
I would say, and I think a lot of people here would attest to, y puedo hablar español también, lo hago los dos, pero let me say it in English first. When you watch the show, there's something that a lot of people don't get to take in, which is, and I'm not saying this because I'm a part of it, but what the ensemble does in the show, what the show exists, I would say, heavily on the shoulders of the ensemble. We are the physical book of the show. And I feel like the movie does gives an amazing opportunity for you to see the world that is the show, the energy that you feel when you hear the music, the energy that is the show, and I think to what the show tries to speak in regards to revolution. And the movement is so, you get to see so many different elements that you would not ever be able to see, or clearly because you're only hearing the album, but if you were to go to the show, there's so much to take in. The movie gives you good opportunity. Everyone has the same seat in the house. So everyone is seeing all the same angles, and you get to really understand just what we created and what all these cast members got to do on a nightly basis, which is inherently like shape the world of the show, and you get to see all of that. And I don't think anyone would ever know. Generally, when musicals go, they come and go. And this doesn't just speak to Hamilton, but my excitement with Hamilton is going to give you an opportunity to see that the majority of ensembles, especially in contemporary musicals, have a very heavy influence and impact. And this movie, you'll be able to witness it in a way that perhaps you wouldn't have prior.
I just want to interrupt, and I want to hear everybody, but it's so unique what you have said, because Hamilton and also Lynn's work in general and Andy's work as a choreographer, I think you said the contemporary musical, I think they're very responsible for the evolution of how, personally, as an audience member and as an artist, I see musical theater before In the Heights and after In the Heights in so many ways, because I think the nature of humanity that the ensemble gets to bring and the way that each individual influences the storytelling got to be so heightened, you know, outside of the shape and forms that entertainment value would have had years before. And I'm not saying that Andy and Lynn are the only ones, but definitely bring it forward. And Hamilton did that so uniquely. I had the experience of seeing the show on Off-Broadway at the Public Theater, and I thought that something in the space this small had a perspective and a value. Then at the Richard Rodgers and opening night, it sort of spread and it had a different value. And by the time I went to San Francisco and I saw the production there with Joshua Henry, it was way bigger, the space. And that's when I cried so much. So to your point, in the dimensions of the stage, you can hide or not this incredible ensemble that is 24/7, complementing every single beat of the story. So I think you just bring a very, very, very important point, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, hágale, dígale.
Iba a decir, para toda la gente que nos está viendo, estaba preguntando que de todos ellos, ¿qué se les pasaba por la cabeza ahora que va a verlo tanta gente alrededor del mundo, especialmente con la proyección, el streaming de Hamilton en Disney Plus? Y lo primero que ha comentado John es que se va a poder ver el trabajo de un ensemble, de un elenco que es tan importante para musicales como este. Y Luis había apuntado especialmente con el trabajo de Andy, y desde musicales como In the Heights y ahora Hamilton se veía este punto de vista del ensamble, primero en el Public Theatre, luego en el Richard Rodgers, incluso de gira por toda Norteamérica. Sorry, chica, go on.
Oh, está bien.
Rickey, Tripp.
Or we're calling people out. Got it. I mean, I thought we were just gonna be like round table, we're just talking, but it's sure. There's really nothing, for me to add. Well, there's some stuff, but after what John has just said so eloquently, and I'm excited about it, but again, I'm no longer a company member, so I have a different different emotion attached to the show right now. You know what I mean? So when I'm excited that my people get to see my friends being the great artists that they are. And to what Luis and John said, like the thing about Andy's work, the choreographer, and Lynn's work, and Tommy, is that they use the ensemble in a way like the Greek chorus. Not many people understand what that is. So the Greek chorus is an extension of the narrator. So whoever's speaking at that moment, the ensemble, especially in their work, is a heightened sense of that, and people can understand that, so that then progresses the story more forward. And it's going to be brilliant. I'm sure the editing would be great, but because you do get the angles are very specific, that you get to see a lot of what the ensemble is doing in this show and how they carry it. So that is more or less the exciting thing that I'm looking forward to.
I'm not going to point anybody out.
No, go ahead. You're the moderator. It's kind of fine. It's actually, we probably need it, actually.
Gabi, you want to say?
Yeah, I'm really excited that, especially now with the pandemic, people want to be inspired and they want to sit down with their families and watch something that talks about our world and the show brings to light so much of that and what our world really needs right now and what we need to be talking about. So, And I also hope that it inspires people to come back to the theater once, we get back to life, and that there's more of an resurgence of more theater and more thoughts and ideas and stories that come to light after this. So I think it's going to be really special that everyone can witness this. And obviously we know what it's like to be in those doors and on that stage. So it's a very, I think it's a very special and beautiful piece of work that everyone needs to see.
If I may, I totally love what you just said about the necessity of inspiration as well, because that song along, I am not throwing away my shot. What does that mean to every human being around the world today, right? When we're stuck in our homes and we don't know how to cope at times with the reality of the world, and there are all these questions, and yet you have an opportunity to retouch your individuality. You have an opportunity to maybe, like they said that Hamlet wrote Macbeth during a pandemic, and not that everybody needs to go out and write a Macbeth or a Hamilton, but what it is that you do for yourself in this moment that is your time. You know how many times in life we say, oh, I don't have the time, I cannot, I have too much to do, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm home. I have no excuses. I can make up the moment for me to not throw away my shot at this moment. And that alone, I think, is very inspiring, and it's a privilege to have a message like that be thrown at us while we're at home trying to figure it out live. I think that that's a great, valuable point.
Me gustaría traducir este momento porque me ha parecido súper bonito lo que ha dicho Gabriela, de que viendo lo que vamos a ver puede ser un motivo de inspiración y por ahí va a seguir nuestra conversación después, porque nos va a recordar lo que se hizo en el teatro, lo que se sigue haciendo y lo que se puede hacer cuando volvamos a juntarnos como comunidad. Let's go about there a little later.
Great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And clarifying, we're going into magic, and we call him Magic because he's always been magical, as well as Gabby being a dance captain on the Broadway show right now as well. Magic has the magic flow of going around the world and being able to jump into any production. FYI, I just wanted to say that before we went on, just to stress how incredible his powers of magic are. Anyway, Antuan.
I love the name of that because Universal Swing sounds huge. Please let us know, inspire us, what is that?
Yes, it's huge. So as a Universal Swing, I cover the entire male ensemble of all 5 U.S. companies for Hamilton. So that is your George Eaker, your Charles Lee, your James Reynolds, your Doctor, your Miss... So yes, the entire male ensemble, I am responsible for those 6 men, everything they sing, everything they dance, all of their prop moves, all of their set moves.
The different versions of them because they've changed them.
Yes.
Right. That part too. Yeah.
Very rude how those things have been changed. The company.
Yeah.
So I've at this point, I've now worked with 3 out of the 5 companies. And so that is 18 different versions of one show that exists for me to do. And it is a very difficult job. It is not easy. It is not for people who have a mindset of wanting to be perfect. You have to be incredibly humble. It is also difficult if you want to be seen. Like if you have an unhealthy ego, being a Universal Swing will wreck you because you will not have a perfect show. You will not have a 98% show. You will have a show where you finish the show and it didn't stop and no one got hurt. And that is my job, to make sure that the thousands of people who paid thousands of dollars to see the show one time get to see the show from beginning to end. And so that is my responsibility that I take as a Universal Swing. And, it's being with this show specifically, even though I was a vacation swing for In the Heights, those 2 experiences have blossomed a passion that I want to educate young artists about what it means to be a swing, how to be a swing, what skills you have. I want to help their educators be able to recognize that within their students, because there is no formal training. There is no education within the educational system for artists to do this thing. You learn it when you get hired to do it for the first time. And that's how you do it. And some people flourish. Gabby's a remarkable swing. She has a great mind for it. She has a great temperament for it. But I know she also takes on a lot of frustration and a lot of hardship, because you have to gauge other people, and you have to sometimes make less space for yourself in order to make someone else feel comfortable, because you have to get the thing done.
I mean, when I got offered my first job, Magic, they were like, "Yeah, they want you to be a swing. Yeah, you're gonna cover these leads too. You're gonna cover." I was like, "What is a swing? What's a swing?"
What does that mean?
I was like, "What does that even mean?"
Yeah, when I was hired for Heights, they said, "Oh, you're gonna be our vacation swing." That's great. What is that? It was immediate. Like I said, "That's great," and then the next breath was, "Okay, what does that mean?"
Yeah,
it's funny because
Actually,
I was talking with Antuan before, and I respect so much the role of the swing. Period. I just respect any artist so much. Like people think it's razzle dazzle, and there's just so much joy and pain. Andy and I call it the agony and the ecstasy that of Michelangelo. We all experience that in so many layers of ways.
daily.
But
Right.
your story and the way John Rua just pointed it out, it reminded me of somebody that I want to just highlight and mention, Stephanie Clemens, that during the time of In the Heights, she was sitting down at 42nd Street Studios, and she was sitting down with her notebook looking at the In the Heights cast like, what the frack was going on?
Yeah.
And I was sitting by her side and being like, breathe. It's gonna be okay. I had just swing once and I said to myself, I'll never do it again. I'm not built for it. I respect it deeply, but I just can't. I can't. It's a lot.
It's
I
a
put my
lot.
hat off to each and every one of you that do it. But Stephanie Clemens, I remember really going from being lost in the wilderness to really getting so good at it, to then becoming an associate choreographer for a show like Hamilton, among many others, because she became that encyclopedia who can contribute to the process, but retain the information to be able to teach it, which I think is something else, Juanjo, that maybe at some point we can talk about, because, Rickey Tripp is an associate as well. As we already mentioned, Antuan and Gabby have that skill. And John Rua is a choreographer himself and has contributed to many processes of pre-production in general. So like everybody in this panel has the capacity of being magical as well.
I have the question that I'm sure, and para resumir lo que acaba de decir Antoine, que todo el mundo es súper interesante lo del tema del swing, es una parte muy generosa del elenco, porque sobre sus espaldas cae el poder ser cualquier papel del show en cualquier producción, lo que está haciendo Antoine de Hamilton en Norteamérica. So my question is, how your mind works to every day, daily, today just going to be male number 5, the one that's holding that, or how that works? When you get that call that today is going to be male 1 or male 5?
Well, that's part of why my nickname is Magic.
Okay.
It works almost like a computer hard drive. I write maybe 2% of information down anywhere, maybe 2%, because there's no time to look at a note card, especially with Hamilton. And so thankfully, my brain works in a way that when I see material, it imprints for me, and then I can recall it like you're watching a playback of a video. And so thankfully, I've been with the show for almost 4 years, so I've done all of these parts dozens of times. And so it's just in my body in a sense, which is also what makes it difficult when I go to another company and things are different, where they have switched. What you know as Man 3 in New York is what we call Man 1 in Florida on the tour. And it's like, okay. So then a lot of times it comes to the other cast members helping me and me saying, where do I enter? Where's this prop? Or giving a deer in headlights kind of look, and then someone does this thing or does that, or they just physically move me where I need to go. Shove with love is a phrase we use. But
Also, are you my mommy?
Yes.
We had to go to a new partner. You're like, are you my mommy? Are you my mommy?
But there is so much thinking happening in real time for me. I'm thinking 3 or more steps ahead of the actual action I am doing in the moment. So I'm presenting as if I'm present and doing, like, I'm right here with you, but I'm thinking I need to exit out of wing 2, stage right, so I can get this prop or this thing. And then I also have to know the offstage traffic. So there have been times where at the end of the show, if I haven't done that particular track in a while, my head physically hurts from the amount of thinking I do during the show. And it is mentally exhausting. I would love to do one of those, like how major athletes go into a lab and they put electrodes and do stuff to see how their body and mind responds. I would love for there to be some kind of digital version of that for dancers and performers. And I'll sign up to be a guinea pig for that, just so people can see, like, the amount of work, the amount of brain activity that can go into that for a performer, especially a swing, and then maybe get us some more money.
Hello, somebody. Right.
If I may, I just want to.
Dang it.
I'm sorry, Rickey. I'll give it back to you in a second. I just want to point out a couple of comments that have been coming through the YouTube, and people are saying, I feel like every little Hamilton detail from the ensemble has so much power. They were going off on the idea of bilingual power, number one, and they were going off on the value of ensemble. So I just wanted to highlight that because it's based on what you guys are sharing that people are getting really excited. And also they're calling you guys amazing humans as much as artists.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
But I was going to say a little insert is that because 20 is amazing. He was actually my associate on my first big show that I did in regional theater, Dreamgirls. I mean, because he has the brain capacity that to retain, because there was so many steps in the show. And why not spend time with your best friend and doing something that you love? And he's amazing in heels. So I said, go work with the girls. I'll deal with everyone else. So I'm going to say that little insert. So I'm saying not only is he a swing, but he also has the ability to be an associate choreographer as well. So wrapping on that, I think, of course. Was Gabby supposed to speak on that too? No.
I'm kind of, every swing has a different way of doing things and learning, but I'm kind of the same as Magic, where that I kind of can see it in my brain. It plays almost like a video in my mind, and that's how I kind of remember the show. But then also another little thing that on top of that, as the dance captain, when I'm on stage and I'm doing whichever track that I'm doing, I almost can't turn off the dance captain in me. I'm almost kind of noting the show while I'm doing the show, while I'm trying to memorize which person I'm supposed to be and where I'm getting all my props and all my exits and stuff. So that's just like an additional little extra thing of something that I deal with on a daily basis too, which is at the end of the show, my brain is pretty much done between noting while I'm on, remembering which track I'm in, and et cetera, et cetera. But you do appreciate the show in so many different ways. Playing so many different characters is something that I actually really enjoy, because it's always going to be different. Every single time I'm on, it's a different show. It's a different experience. So,
Juanjo, can I?
Sure.
So I want to go into how we got here, because again, I have had the opportunity to see the evolution of a lot of these humans, and I could go one by one, like literally give you stories one by one. But I am just going to start with John Rua, because first of all, because he's at the top of my screen,
like this.
but also because
great logic.
Right, you've become. I was joking off camera with you about, I'm going to put a poster of you and I'm going to go work out. But the reality is that you've always have been deserving of a poster in my wall. Oh my God, I say that it's like, woo, because I remember you coming to the Richard Rodgers and being like, I want to be in that show. And you auditioned and you auditioned and you auditioned, and it did not happen. And you kept coming back to the Richard Rodgers and you kept saying, I want to be in that show. And you finally made it to that show. And I remember that you went into the show and you did not stay still. you started taking singing classes and you started training to become, you know, Usnavi. And everybody was annoyed because you were screaming behind, you know, curtains, and I was one of them annoyed.
Me too. Sit down.
Towels.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, this little Colombian MF comes out and becomes Usnavi. And not only becomes Usnavi, but goes on into creating an incredible career as a creative. And then you have contributed to so many processes. I've been in the room with you. I respect you for your art. And just like I respect Rickey, Tripp, and each and every one of you, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then you not only created a role that I think has become an iconic role within Hamilton, but you also played Hamilton. Tell me about that drive, that passion, you know, what motivates you? And in that, I invite a little bit of the story of it. I don't want to be crying for the next 30 minutes, but, you know, make it brief because there's more questions. But tell us a little bit of how we all got started in following our dream that now is going to be celebrated, you know, through this, you know, presentation of Hamilton on Disney Plus.
Thank you. It's not, you know, it can go longer, but I'll just leave it with thank you for now. I don't want to diminish my response to that. Also, I would say, you know, it's interesting. When I think about dreams, and I think what people received from me as my dreams, I didn't know they were my dreams. So what I mean by that is, I wanted to be in the Heights, but it wasn't like a dream to be on Broadway. It was a dream to be around people that I respected and hoped they respected me back, and hoped that they saw me. And I think the drive for my entire life, as I continue growing, I'm realizing this, and it's informing all my work. It's informing Hamilton. It's informing all sorts of things, is the feeling of not being seen. I don't ever feel like I've truly been valued. And even speaking to in the Heights, when I came in, I remember I had to sing this line, and bills to pay, whatever. And Lack goes like this. And I think from what ends up happening is,
because he's crossing when he says that line in front of the MD. No pressure at all.
And Lack's like, and and my response to that is, now I'm whole. But for a period of time, it was always the inadequate underdog. And I knew just what I had inside me, and I had to find a way to unleash it. And not for me, but for my mom. For the people who you're not going to know their names when they leave. But if you know my name, you'll know her name. If you know my name, you'll know my father's name. Like, if you know me, you're going to know everyone that should have been known that didn't get to be known. And so the vigor that I have inside me is, who am I not to try my damnedest, starting dance when I was 20, 21, starting to sing and act around 23, 24, trying to figure it out, and dealing with what I believe is this level of inferiority that I think I've inherited from the circumstances of being a first-gen Latino, from not having a community, and from the Black community. If it weren't for them, I don't know who I would be. If it, you know, for being able to make something out of nothing, that is literally my purpose in life, and to empathize and elevate those stories. So I find myself and the hard part is, as much passion as I have, if I'm not light, I can either light up or burn myself. And so often you guys saw my journey, because I didn't feel like I had a tribe. I felt like I had family. I didn't feel like I had a tribe. So often when you saw me behind screaming in the curtains, desperately wanting to find a way to learn how to do this so that I could be free, so that I could be free, so that I can express, so that I can be what I know I am. And so when I went on as Usnavi, even when I went on at Hamilton was even crazy too, because they're like, in 3 hours you're on, you don't really have a full rehearsal, you never had to put in, you don't have a costume. Here, you're going to use Javi's wig, you're going to go on. And at this point, to be honest, and this is family, instead of feeling completely supported, I felt very alone. I felt very alone, which only spoke to not only perhaps what was happening, but also my depiction on where I stood in the world. So going on with Hamilton allowed me to realize just how much of my knowing was already in the ground and just how much I had to completely jump into what I do. So why I'm bringing this up is because when I went on for Usnavi, when I went on for Hamilton, when I ever do my roles, I'm aware of the MD and all these things, but it doesn't take any precedence over my awareness to my commitment to the law, the art within myself. So I try to love the art within myself more than loving myself in the art.
Say that again, please.
I try to love the art within myself more than myself within the art.
Yes.
A ti mismo en el arte, ama el arte que hay en ti.
And that, honestly, so, you know, everyone experiences some level of like Magic said, like ego and am I doing this and am I doing that? And you're in a world filled with rejection, filled with no, or you're not this, or you're this, or you're this. And for someone who didn't come up in the world, as you know, going in the Heights, singing behind the curtain, I didn't even know that probably wasn't etiquette. Like, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I don't care what they say to me. I'm gonna do, like, if I could tell you I'm hip hop, it's because I'm gonna do what I gotta do to do the thing, to get where I need to get. And then I learned along the way. But so my point is, you know, I'm not going to do that anymore. Sometimes I do it and I don't care. Sometimes I still do it and I don't care. But now I know what I'm doing and now my feet are on the ground. And now if there's a little Colombian or a little Latino kid who doesn't know what's going on and he thinks no one around him can relate to him because he didn't go to a conservatory, I could talk to his ass and be like, come over here. I know what's up. And I can also talk to the conservatory. When I'm choreographing shows and I'm guiding people from Carnegie Mellon, I know how to talk to them because I'm an actor. I know what you're going through. I know what's going on. Like Leslie Odom Jr. comes up to me before we even go to Broadway and he goes, John, I was like, what's up? He's like, I need you to train me. So I trained him for a day in the room with movement. I knew where he was at. He knew where I was at. I learned so much just by being in the room with him. Next thing you know, boom, he flies, he soars. But that's because because of all the people I've been around who've openly given me so much love, like Luis, Magic, and Rickey, like big time from day one, you guys. I do it for you. I dead ass do this stuff for the moments that you gave me where I felt safe, where I felt seen, where I felt believed in, even when you didn't make me feel like I had something to prove. But I still go every day going, how far can I go to realizing what I imagine? How far can I go to realizing my true potential and still live a healthy life? And so I'm trying to do that on a daily basis. And I think my fuel is, can I do that to the point where I get surrounded by the people I want to be surrounded by, and I can create art that people respect and want to see more of? So I think that is the shortest I can get. That's my drive when doing this thing.
I think that's part of why we all love you, is because I think we all recognize to some degree the genuineness as to why you were doing what you were doing. You were learning because you knew you had it in you, and now you were maybe surrounded by people that you could I can pick that thing and I can pick that thing. And it wasn't a matter of from your background as hip hop, like there is a bravado and an energy that is required to succeed in that. So that was there, but right behind it was that genuineness and that vulnerability of, okay, but I also recognize the things that I don't know and the things that I want to learn. And I'm going to take this opportunity to learn that from the people around me. And I was just telling someone this week, that's why In the Heights has been and will always be so special for me because it was the first time in my professional career, at that point it was like 12 years, where every person I was on stage with elevated me to be a better performer, a better artist, and a better person on and off stage. And I know that will never be replicated. I don't expect it to. It is like, you know, seeing Aurora Borealis, like something that not many people get to see, or whatever that, like, oh my gosh, that's a once in a lifetime experience. Like, that's what In the Heights was for me. And that was what I had been seeking up until that point. Like, I want to work with people that make me want to be a better performer, person, and artist in every aspect. And I got that in across the board, every single person, nonstop, like endlessly. And I think that's just, and so that's what I recognize in you, Rua, from even back then.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just want to really, I mean, as Rua makes me cry and you like give me life lessons, you know, like just hearing the tone of the piece in your voice. It takes me, you know, we teach so many people, and there's this idea, and again, I'm grateful for Hamilton because so many people want to do Hamilton, the show, or create something like Hamilton, or create something like what Lynn has been creating in the last decade, you know, or 2 decades now. But the people forget what really is behind. Like, I'm on a very personal mission, especially within Latin America, to remind ourselves that we are not here to imitate the end result we see. We're not here to just copy what we find in YouTube and not go on the depth of the why those things happen. And having this last 40 minutes with you guys in this meeting, in this amazing, you know, collaboration of friendship, I hear your souls. I hear the why you're doing it in the first place is the root and the driving force behind the way you do it. And I think that is the call to action for every artist. And I think that's what I would love people to see when they see Hamilton. Not to see the shapes and the way that the floor motions in a circle and how high the notes go and how cool the raps are, but like that every individual involved in that production brings their heart and their soul and their humility to the process of creation. And I think that is something that all of us can somehow maybe attest to, especially definitely during my time within the Heights. You know, Lynn and Andy and Tommy and Bill and Alex Acamore, they used to call themselves as a group the Voltron, right? It was that they all needed each other in order to do the bigger picture. And not one of their ideas was the best idea, just the best idea was the best idea, period. You know, and that takes humanity, that takes humbleness, that takes taking each other in, which again, also it's a resemblance of what our country needs today, that we take each other in, that we support each other, that we are become a strong, solid, universal Voltron, you know. And when you talk Antuan and you express the way you do, and John Rua with everything you said and how you sort of go with those before you and those behind you and those with you, how that's part of the motivation. And I look at Gabi and I remember Gabi coming to me with a smile and with tears in the middle of On Your Feet, because she too just wanted to be seen. She wanted the chance to be validated for everything that she can contribute on the stage.
And wait, Luis, just to say something to that, for Gabby, for Luis, for everyone, and something I want to make sure people understand. I think when Luis says this, and when I say it, want to be seen, we're aware that the identity and ego wants to be seen, but that's not what we're speaking about. We're speaking about our purpose, our soul, our entity, and those we represent feeling valued, feeling like they have a matter in the world. Yes, we are supposed to exist as a singular entity, but we are a community, we're a humanity, we're not here alone. And so you want to feel relevant and important to the world. And if you feel like you're putting everything you can and you're not being witnessed, that's what it feels like to not to be seen. So sorry, go back to Luis.
No need to be sorry. That's what we're here for. But I just want to pass it on to Rickey Tripp because at the same way I can just talk about Rickey's process, right? Like what I've seen, even here, he's sitting down, taking it all in, and it all like affects every port of his body, you know? And this is the artist that I also look up to. Like Rickey, I look up to you on the stage, you know, and you and I can go to Carnival and make a party, but the preparation and the concentration and the respect that you have had for the stage before and after, you know, through the process of creation, before every performance, it's again sort of the epitome of this thing that I'm talking about, the humanity and the soul and why we do it. You know, just like Antuan, you created this idea of soldiers of love. You know, for you, Rickey, what is that love? What is that passion? What is that drive? What is that thing that keeps you human? And or do you agree or disagree that this is one of the things that makes shows like Hamilton and In the Heights so unique? That the people are soul and heart and human before ego and pretentious and status.
There's so much, so much. I'll try to. Where do I start? Let's see. I first and foremost, I'm living a dream that I didn't realize that I had. To be very honest, and I don't know how many of you know that about me, but you know, I went to school to be a pediatrician, and I guess I always had this ability, you know, to dance, social dancing. So what I was raised around, you know what I mean, and that is the thing that actually pushes forward movement in general. Movement comes from social aspects, right? So the thing that was tricky about motivation is that you're not always motivated. So you have to have discipline. And that's what I know about each and every one of these individuals here today, is that that is the only thing, because you can't rely on your motivation. You have to have the discipline. I remember in my training early on that I was that kid who, very much like John Rule, like who I would stay after a rehearsal was done. I would stay after a class was done and work until I finally understood what my body needed to convey, and what I needed to convey, and what I wanted to feel like to be seen, right? So the thing, Luis, you said, where does that love come from? Was that the question? The love comes from varying degrees and varying avenues. Is that, you know, from the people that I work with, and I didn't know. So going back to In the Heights, you know, I was just so excited to be part of course, making my Broadway debut, but I didn't know that that was going to be a thing, and I didn't know that what the effect was going to have. Because the cool thing about it is that we were able to be human beings and not in a costume per se. You know what I mean? So people, they were able to see us for who we were and the artists. And unbeknownst to me, like my choreographic voice was actually getting a chance to peek its little head through. And my directing mind as well. And I didn't know all these things were within me, to be very honest. I just did what I did because I had loved it so much. And then to be surrounded by people who loved it as much as I did only elevated everything about the process and within the show. And what a lot of people don't know, a little insight about In the Heights off Broadway, is that we were in a room no bigger than 12 by 12 feet, maybe something like that. Like all men and all women were in one. We only had 2 dressing rooms. So that forced us to get closer. And not just emotionally, mentally, physically, and we had to rely on those things and actually let those things affect us and inform us of how we were going to interact with each other, either on stage and or off stage. So that's a little bit about that. So I believe in my heart that was the nemesis, that was the catapult that drove everything else forward. This is how we got to Hamilton today, because it was in those close quarters that people have to either like put your feet to the flame or like be called on your shit and or be supported. Like all those things were happening, right? And out of that became this enrichedness of In the Heights, and then Hamilton. Well, they just shows in between, but then we're just speaking about 2. Anyways, then became Hamilton. So my love, or the thing that keeps me going, is like, because I keep learning. I keep learning more about myself and more about my artistry and more about those around me. That keeps me going, because the minute I stop learning, then I'm done.
And you, Gabby? I'm sorry.
No. That's pretty much it. I'll right, because we'll be here all day. So go ahead, Gabby.
Thank you, Rickey.
I love listening to all of these. I'm like so inspired. I'll try to make a long story short. Since I came out of my mother's womb, have basically been performing, speaking, talking, moving, anything that involved not sitting still. So for me, the dream has always been to get to Broadway, to be on the stage, not even Broadway. The goal has always been to work and to continue to work in whatever way that is, well, whether that's volunteering and teaching kids, or doing regional, anything, any way that I could give out my creative outlet. And so that has always driven me to push and continue to fight for the dream. And that's always been my dream. And I'll just use for an example, Luis was one of the first people that I really looked up to in theater and on Broadway, and then getting to work with him and On Your Feet so closely, and working with this beautiful group of diverse people that just wanted to share their stories, and then realizing that my dream is just so much even bigger than just the dream and the goal of getting to the stage. It's telling a story of a group of people coming together and inspiring other people. And Hamilton does the same thing. And, you know, most of my job and responsibility is taking care of others and making sure other people get the information that they need. So within me being the one on the stage and doing that, it's also helping others get to where they need to go as well. So that's just been another beautiful part of the dream, collaborating, performing, teaching, growing, learning. Yeah.
And I want to say one more thing to add to that. I was speaking to me as a performer prior to the statements that I was making. Now, as a creator, I do know now the love that keeps me going is that this thing, I think I've always known this, but now I have a better understanding of that this thing is bigger than me. This thing rests on my shoulder. Like, my ancestors are relying on me to do my work here now. Nothing like I'm not waiting for tomorrow. I'm not resting on the talent or no, I'm not resting on that. I'm not resting on the things that I don't know. Like, I have to do the work and continue to do the work, because this thing has to live beyond me. That's it.
Yeah.
I have a question.
You.
No. I don't know how to continue this conversation. Really, I was going to get so moved that I was going to hide because I was about to cry. No, but I have a question, because of course, for all of us, even from the audience point of view, Hamilton is huge. But with all these individual stories, I have to tell you that next July 3rd, I'm going to see this with another perspective. Because these 4 stories and all of the ones that must have been on stage are so inspiring. But I have a question. Now, with all the things that we are going through with the pandemic and everything, and these purposes that you are literally showing us that you have inside, what will be your impulse once we can go back to the theaters on stage for the 5 of you? Because Luis will also be there. We hope.
Well, there's a thought I had, and I think this informs Hamilton as well as people see it. And I think whether people are conscious of it or not, but this also speaks to what will happen when quarantine is finally complete. If theater does how it returns, hopefully it'll be evolved and informed by this time. But I would say, I started saying this when I was teaching classes, and I was like, yeah, this sounds pretty good, John. Anyway, I started saying this, and I was like, it's true. we're the only ones. What I mean by this is there is no other group of people. We're going to do this and then we're going to die. There's only Rickey. There's only Luis. There is not another group of people. When I'm in the theater with this group of people, when I'm in the theater, when I'm in public, when I'm in a rehearsal room, I literally treat my living room no different than I treat a Broadway house.
That's right.
I do not treat anything any different. And maybe that's, there's goods and side things about it. Wouldn't say bad, just there's goods and, you know, interpretive things on it, but I never treat it. If anything, I've learned from myself and know how to breathe through it more, know how to nurture it more. I'm very much more inspired in that way, how to treat the work and how to, what's that word? How to, I'm not gonna waste time. Anyway, the point is I know how to take care of it more. My point is there's no other group of us. So whenever I'm approaching a moment or a performance or a fatigue or anything, with wisdom, I go, it's over. Like if I don't do this now,
That's it.
that's it. There is no other group. There's no like, oh, you know, this will be different. And no, in 20 years, it'll still be me, Rickey, Luis, Magic, Gabriella, and Juanjo. It's not going to be different. In 10 years, there's only going to be us. There's no new, oh, like we're going to take this generation of people. We're just going to switch it out. A new generation of people are going to come in. This is it. We're responsible for what happens next. We're responsible for what happens now. And who you are is the only one and the only tool and the only light like you that can have an offering. If you do not exist.
That's it.
Who are you not to? So it's like, do you want to be the tree in the forest that falls, that because no one's there, we can't hear it? Or do you want to be the tree that falls in the forest, and even though no one's there, it echoed so loud, someone heard something from the distance? So all I'm saying is, I look at every scenario as like, wow, there's no other group of people. This is it. It's a wrap. There is no like, oh, let's try again. No, this is it. So try as many times as you hear, because soon enough, it's a wrap, and your knees are tired, and it's done.
And your hips are done. I love that. Your knees are tired, right? Yeah.
Juanjo está sudando, señoras y señores.
Esta entrevista está siendo más difícil que los últimos 10 años.
Saying that
I was saying that
in the last 10 years. Just
yeah,
because of inspiration.
probably was for 10 years in Spain, and this one's making me sweat. so.
But you know, it's funny that you say this one is making me sweat, and this is my other mission in life, but the value of the freaking ensemble. You know, it's like Broadway shows, and I'm not taking anything away from leads and the amazing roles that they play, you know, but leads are one voice, God bless them. And ensembles are the entire backbone of the stories we tell. And when good creative teams pay homage and respect to that, the voice of that lead role becomes stronger. It's the reason why, you know, Usnavi resonates so strong, because his entire community, cannot do these things. His entire community is behind him. And so he stands, and behind him, there are all these hands supporting him. And that's the same thing that happens in Hamilton. And that's when I call, you know, Andy a poet, because he makes metaphors in the choreographies or in the images through the choreographies he creates. And so that shoulder, 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 shoulder is an homage to the ensemble. Is an homage to that the lead is one voice and gets to, you know, do the cover of the magazine, gets to sing the song in the album. That's amazing. But the hearts of John Rua, of Rickey Tripp, of Antuan Raimone, of Gabriella Sorrentino, you know, those hearts are the backbones that tell the story, you know, that give the layers and the colors. And we must educate those people that want to come into musical theater, that next generation that will exist when we're not there, to value and respect what an ensemble represents. How many students do I get that are like, I don't want to be in the ensemble, I want to be a lead role? That's amazing. Be a lead role, but if you want to be a lead role by means of devaluing what the ensemble is, you shouldn't be a lead role. You don't deserve it. because the entire ensemble is the thing that's elevating eventually you as a lead. So the best leads that I have met personally are those that really take in the entire community that is around. And back to the humanity and the soul, that's why Mandy Gonzalez is Mandy Gonzalez. Was like that's why Karen Olivo is Karen Olivo. That's why Andrea Burns is Andrea Burns. That's why Doreen Montalvo has flown into the sky from in the heights, because she knows what an ensemble member does. And so we must educate. As we see Hamilton on Disney Plus, and you get to see the voices of those lead roles, please pay attention to the incredible amount of work that each ensemble member does.
And also, just for those who don't know, and this kind of happened as the cast continued, but every single original cast member was a cover for the lead. Like I was the Hamilton cover. There wasn't another one. It was me. There, every male 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they were your lead covers. And all I'm saying is you must take note that these people actually know what's going on, and if anything, it informs their storytelling. These are not just ensemble members. These are actors who are in the ensemble. And I think people need to just strive to curate their work. That was the word, curate their work, work on it, love it, harness it, know the difference between working hard and being hard on yourself. And in the face of it, keep going forward at all times, breathe and keep going forward at all times. But the point is, we are actors. Do not look at us as backup dancers. Do not look at us as in the ensemble. The reason I say this is because it's trifling when you do that, because Broadway is the extreme sports of performing arts, and the ensemble are they do the all around at the Olympics. They're not sitting on just high bar. They do all of it. So I'm just saying, take that in from us who do it all the time, and us who have played lead roles, and us who create, and us who are trying to inform. Let social media not dilute you, because theater is not in a world where social media can accurately depict its worth.
No.
It is only there to try to sell, because that's what social media is doing. So if I'm speaking to people who for some reason, at any point you have a door open for information, recognize the worth, the acting that you want to do, and never minimize yourself based on a term like ensemble or something of that nature, because then you will literally come in with fabricated, imitated work and move no one, which then what are you doing there?
And there's so much value and empowerment in being in the ensemble. And it's also, I think I heard someone say, someone asked like, oh, how do you view success? Like, you have all the success. Well, success is different to the individual. And they said it's also like, what are you chasing? What do you want from that success? Do you want a bunch of followers? Do you want to be the star? Do you want all of this exposure? Those things have never been in my definition of success, personally, for me. I don't need to be the name or the face every person knows. That makes me uncomfortable. I like my privacy. I like my space. And it is much more important for me that I am proud and connected to the work that I do, to the people that I'm doing the work with, that I feel some sense of ownership, and that I'm making a difference in the lives of the audience, as well as myself. I don't necessarily want to get on stage and sing and dance and have it mean nothing, have it just, be sugary sweet. And I've done jobs where that's what they were designed to be. But I still had to find the heart within that sugary sweet facade of a job for me to do it. And then when it stopped, when I could no longer put my heart in it, or I could no longer find the heart in that thing, either the universe removed me from that opportunity or I removed myself from that opportunity. So that is what I want to be able to bestow upon my contemporaries and the people coming behind me. And maybe even inform those ahead of me, like, hey, look back, I got something I want to tell you. You know, I want to share that with people because it's very easy in our society to chase money, chase opportunity, chase power, chase fame. But if you're chasing those things from an empty space, from an empty shell of yourself, you will never be satisfied.
Boom.
I share what one of my favorite moments in the show, especially if you're really watching the ensemble, which I feel like encompasses Hamilton, everything we're talking about. In the opening number, everyone's in the straight line all the way down stage. You're seeing all these individual faces. Everyone steps back, and now we're changing into this moment of everyone's taking their bags and they're carrying all of this weight that they have on their shoulders and are coming off of the ship, and they're coming into America, and they're saying basically, I am here to share my story, this is who I am, and everyone turns their face. And I think it's just such a beautiful moment that encompasses the show. And what we're all talking about is that we're these people and we're coming together and we're creating these stories. And yeah, so I just wanted to, I feel like that so beautifully encompasses Hamilton.
It does. There's a person also had said here, yo también creo que mucha gente podrá aprender más sobre la historia de América, y eso es genial. To the first question that we had asked about, you know, what it's one of the things we think the presentation of Disney Plus of Hamilton will do, just to learn more about the history of America through the lens also, or through the representation of people that are not just one-dimensional or one background culturally speaking. I don't know, I said that properly or not. I don't know that I care either. But then Rocio Torralba also said, it is amazing to listen to all of you and see how your art is more than just a performance, but a part of who you are and what you bring to the world. And I'm not trying to wrap it up, Juanjo. We could go on forever, as we know. But in that of who you are to the world, clearly we are in a really hard time in the world. We have a pandemic. We have a movement of justice that is extremely needed and way behind in time. And the world has been literally and emotionally and metaphorically burning. One, what would be your message to the people watching you right now? And two, what would be your dream?
My message is that even where we all, those of us on this call right now, where we are in our lives and in our careers, we still struggle. I still struggle. Last week was one of the hardest emotional weeks I have had in a very long time. I cried so many tears of personal pain and heartache, of pain for the world I was seeing, of even feeling as if I didn't know where I fit into the world now, because things are shifting and changing so much, and it made me second guess, have I been doing enough within my cultural existence as a Black man? Have I been avoiding things? Have I been blind to things, or what are the things I've been blind to? I had a call with Rickey and another one of my very good friends, and I had already cried before that call, and then I sobbed during that call. So even with where I am in life, and people could look at my resume and go, oh my gosh, this is incredible, you're doing all these things. I still struggle. I still seek growth. So to struggle does not mean you are falling or failing. I think the way I look at it is, if you are struggling, you are seeking growth. And so you are trying to get somewhere that you are not. And that is hard. That's what it's supposed to be. That's why they're called growing pains, because it's painful, because your consciousness and your awareness of what previously existed is being cracked, and it's uncomfortable, and you need more space for what you're learning and figuring out for yourself. So there's that. You said, what's the question was, what is my dream? My dream is to be a support and source for people to find their strength and their happiness within themselves first and foremost. That's why I've enjoyed being an associate choreographer to Rickey and other people when they ask me. Now, personally, it was not a career desire for me. It was not something I sought out, but people who trusted me and respected me came to me and said, would you work on me with this thing? And my thought was, if you trust me enough to ask me to help you bring to fruition, bring to vision this thing, then I will say yes and go with you on that. So I was thinking about this yesterday, I really enjoy doing that with people, but I want to do that both within the theater world, but also outside of the theater world, because I feel that what we as artists are able to do, the average person does not believe they are able to do, because the systems and the structures they're in the professional worlds do not foster that. You come into this company, you're going to follow the things we do and do them the way we tell you to do them, versus we want you to be a part of this and make the whole picture as great as it can. It's like, we're going to find the best idea, not my best idea, not your best idea. So that's the work that's the dream that I have, is in sharing my experiences, listening to people, seeing like, no, you have this ability, you have this strength. Like, hopefully I can be a mirror to them so they can see what I see in them, and then they can infuse that within their own day-to-day basis when they aren't with me or when they're in those moments of doubt.
Thank you.
To those who are viewing or those that will be viewing Hamilton on July 3rd on Disney Plus. Why am I plugging it? It's not my show. I'm just going to inform people again that I need you to be completely weary of and aware of that is just one perspective on history. That is not the complete history of this fucking country. I have to cuss, I have to say it, it has to be said. So when you see Hamilton, you get inspired or whatnot, but there is more work to be done beyond that show. Go and research the show. You have a Black man playing a white man who owned slaves. Do the work. You can't sit in it and say, oh, it's just pretty glitz and glam. Yeah, honor that before. Let it be that thing. But after that, know that there is more work to be done. And that's a history that's not always told, a history that's only told in a month. Not going to cut it anymore. And I'm thankful for this pandemic. So that goes to my dream, is that, you know, the reason I remain silent a lot is because it's the constant work that I'm doing on myself. And I tried to be, and I said, I plan to come out of this thing a better version of myself. And when I hear people say that they're bored, I'm dumbfounded, because there is, I can't say it enough. There's just too much work to be done, too much work to get done, too many things to figure out, too many ideas that need to be curated. Got you, Rue. You know what I'm saying? Too many moments of life that can be changing. So one should never be sitting there saying that they're bored, especially with the current social injustice that's happening right now. So my dream is that everyone would do that, to do the work on themselves and to be really, really honest. And by being honest, it's going to force you to be uncomfortable, because life happens at the end of your comfort zone. I promise you, as soon as when you get comfortable, you should be worried. Boom. That's that.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Okay.
I would definitely say, when you watch Hamilton, everything Rickey said, I can't say it better. That is not the story of America. That is a depiction of one's journey and wonderful tactics that America embarked on to achieve the possibility for the greatest social experiment the world has ever known. And it has done blessings. But what I want you to take in when you watch Hamilton is the fury and the passion and the innovation to reflect the voices less heard in America, to tell the story more so than the history that it's portraying. That's the energy that created that show, the people that created that show, and how we hope it will spark a new revolution. We're not saying we did that. That's not how I see it. At least not me. No, we did that. Oh, okay, cool. We got your attention. All right, great. And by the way, there's a lot more. So why don't you actually research what's really going on? So please know that. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't think Hamilton would exist without the Black community. It wouldn't exist. Hamilton doesn't exist. The thing you guys love doesn't exist without the African-American culture, the Black community, and others, but that is more important. Because literally, its language, physically, verbally, its spirit does not exist without the Black community. And if you watch it and think otherwise, you're bugging, and you need to get yourself checked. Because I'm being real talk right now. If no one else is going to say it, I'm going to say it. Hamilton should be ever thankful for Black lives, for it would not even exist.
Thank you.
And in regards to dreams, well, let's speak on it. As I said before, and I won't, regurgitate too much, but I think that's why I'm so inspired by Black lives and by my parents and by Indigenous lives, BIPOC, and to be honest with you, by lower income people, by underprivileged people, by people who suffer. The wherewithal to go, I'm not going to go away lightly. I'm not going to not try to achieve the most to my purity and to elevate that. So my dream is to continue to be a creator and a vessel for work that I feel leaves an impact. And if I can do that, then I literally be achieving a dream, because I will do it on any level. Maybe an Academy Award. That's not my goal. The goal is to create the work. Oh my God. An Academy Award came from that? Cool. Hamilton came because I was doing the same thing I do on the sidewalk that I do on the stage. Not because I was like, oh, I'm trying to do no. Right. So that's my dream, is to continue being that, and to be blessed to be around people like the people in this room would be my dream. Because come correct and real for anyone who's watching, if you sense that you don't have a tribesman around you, that's not wrong, but don't pretend you didn't sense that. Sense it. And when you sense there's a good human being next to you, sense it. Don't take advantage of it. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with those around you. Elevate. Do not create followers. Create leaders. Empower others. And if you create another leader, my friend, you'll sleep well. Don't do the other. That is what the dream would be like to me.
Rua, I have missed you.
He's getting stronger, though. He's getting stronger. Gabby.
No, that's from.
Wow, I feel like everything has been said. I guess I'll just say that a small dream coming back to, I guess, whatever normal reality is going to be like after all of this, is to get back in the room with amazing, beautiful, creative people, and people just even socially interacting. I know it sounds silly or whatever, but I just miss social interaction these last few months, and just getting together and talking to people and seeing people. I know we could do that via Zoom, but I'm excited to get back to creating and to telling stories, and also to meeting the fans. It's something that I really love doing, and seeing where they come from, coming from all over the world and wanting to experience something, and to be part of the legacy that we're trying to tell as well. So just a small thing. And thank you guys for all of your input. Everything that these guys said is beautiful, 100%. So just a little extra something.
A few people have commented. I'm trying to keep on both layers so that we don't miss it. I don't know if Juanjo, if you had it, but Marina Vidal had said, being in the ensemble is being a part of the magic. That for sure brings joy by itself. Thank you all so much. This has been so much more than I could ever imagine. So I just want you to take that. And then the wonderful Silvana Salazar said, thank you to each of you. It's so easy to get lost on our vision, on our goals, and to forget why we come to New York, why we need to do our best to honor where we come from. thank you for reminding us that we are our ancestors' wildest dream. It is a responsibility. So, you know, I was a little hesitant that I really wanted the Zoom to have the audience with us and be able to ask, but this has been a wonderful hour and change. And yet the outcome is very clear in what people are writing. So personally, I want to take a second to say thank you to each and every one of you for saying yes to come into this interview, for supporting Revolution Latina with your art so many, many times, for coming into Broadway World Spain. Juanjo, thank you for continuing to reach out for us to make bridges, you know, of collaboration. And again, I'm gonna shut up and let you wrap it up, Juanito.
Juanquito no, Luis. So I just wanted to say something that someone had just seen Hamilton and pointed that there was no choreography. And I thought, yes, there is, you cannot see it because you see people telling stories. And that's the magic of you all. So thank you for letting us know your story, and to, as I said before, to put us in another perspective, seeing next July 3rd, like Rickey just said, reminding us that we are going to see something different. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And also, I know you're closing it up, but
the shippy eyes.
these human beings exist outside of Hamilton.
Of course. Of course.
So I just want you guys who are watching, invest in the human beings the way Hamilton did for Hamilton to even exist. Invest in the people, invest in the artists, and then that thing you like, that'll come to be. And the one that hasn't come yet will come. Thankfully, Hamilton did. And Hamilton is an indescribable gift for various reasons. But I just want you to recognize Rickey and Gabby and Luis and Magic to, like, it doesn't stop here. I just want you to know, July 3rd, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden you go back to, what's back on, you know, okay, look at the real stuff, research. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Yeah. They still matter. They've always mattered.
Yeah, and voting matters. And voting matters.
Voting matters.
Being able to open up the world. This is not only a United States thing, clearly, and I think the world, the same way that the world has been affected / united by a pandemic, where we are all living the same circumstances in many, many layers of ways. Also the government and the sort of, may I say, fascist sort of movements that are developing are not only developing in the United States, are developing all around the world. And racism, definitely in the culture and in the shoulders of our country in the United States, but in the entire world that also has allowed it. And so Black Lives Matter is not just a statement, you know, it's a movement. This is what is the lyric of the show?
It's not the...
It's not a movement, it's a movement.
This is not a moment, it's a movement. And in order for that movement
there's not a moment.
to have success, it has to continue to move. Just like in Revolution Latina, we say we're a revolution of evolution through the arts. This movement of justice, you know, is going to take all of us. And I take my hat off to artists, because artists are, you know, able, I'm not saying that we're the politicals or that we're the government. We're not that. But we're art, and we're humanity, and we're vulnerability, and we're listening, and we're telling stories of those who don't get to always tell it, you know, and sometimes the angle of that story might be told from the best possible objective point of view, and some others, you know, we will fall short. But
remember to tell the story from your lens.
Yes.
Meaning, if I'm going to tell the story, if I'm going to have any sort of to speak upon the Black, I'm speaking about how Black experience informed my life. That's the only lens I can speak on at this rate. I will not speak upon, there are Black creators who can do that. They're going to speak their truth, and we're going to elevate them because they don't need us. They're strong. We need to correct ourselves, and then they'll do what they got to do. I'm only saying it that way because there's a lot of artists right now who are creating, but I want you to be aware that you need to speak your truth on the matter, not what you think someone else's truth is.
And find what what resonates with you specifically. Like don't compare how you participate to someone else, because their capacity for participation is going to be different than your own. And however you participate is valid. You just have to find out what that means for you, what your voice is, and as an artist, what your voice is as you speak to social issues, like whatever you're communicating, you know, it's in line with what Rua said. It has to be what works for you. And so that will take work. That means we have to do a little more research. We have to ask questions to ourselves, ask questions to other people to find out what feels true to you as the individual versus, okay, I'm just gonna jump into this big pool of water, having no idea how deep it is or the temperature or any of that stuff. Like, test it out. Like, take your time. Don't feel that you need to be in front of the game. Like, it's okay if you move slow. If you're observing and you're thinking, you are informed, and that will make a difference. My best friend of a long time, she says, do you want to be a firework or do you want to be a candle? You can be both. You can be either one, but just, you have to decide, do you want to go hot, loud, and bright real quick? Or do you want that candle that's just going to keep going and going and going and going and going? Either one is fine, but be clear about which one you want to be.
This panel, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, thank you so much. So June 29, we go on, Juanjo, with our partnership.
Yeah, next Monday.
El 29 de junio, cuéntanos.
El 29 de junio tenemos a Joshua Henry, que fue Aaron Burr en Chicago, en la versión producción de Chicago, y a
Christopher Jackson.
Christopher Jackson, de la producción original de Broadway, que hacía de Washington.
Así que los esperamos que se vuelven y se sintonicen con nosotros, Revolución Latina y Broadway World Spain, Entre Cafés, con Juanjo González, Luis Salgado. And I said that in Spanish, so I guess it's your turn to say it in English, Juanjo.
Set up.
La gente que nos escucha sabe los dos.
Good. One more time, John Rua, Rickey, Tripp, Gabby, Antuan, thank you so much for being with us afternoon, this morning. It's morning in New York, it's afternoon in Spain. We're all around the world. You guys are international. And we will continue to make movement out of this moment. And I look up to all of you creating your art, sharing your voice, sharing your life and your spirit and your soul, and helping the upcoming generations of artists continue to remember that it's not about the razzle dazzle, but it's about the purity of the roots you create and why you do the things you do. So, una vez más, Juanjo, gracias.
Gracias a vosotros. Gracias, chicos. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. Gracias.
Bye, guys.